Today, the harmful effects of greenhouse gases on our climate are well known. Transport alone represents 19% of CO2 emissions in the European Union. Road traffic is increasing every year, and so is pollution. The European Union recognized this and adopted the ambitious objective of reducing CO2 emissions from new vehicles to 120 grams per kilometre by 2012. This is equivalent to 4.5 litres of diesel to 5 litres of petrol per 100 kilometres. The EU's objective was first proposed in 1995, and the reduction strategy based on voluntary agreements, consumer information and fiscal measures has delivered some progress, but not enough. That's why the European Commission proposed a new strategy to achieve the 120 grams objective based on a legislative framework rather than a voluntary approach. It will focus on passenger cars, light vans, but also on some essential vehicle components, such as tyres, as well as the increased use of biofuels.
Renault, like all responsible players, believes that the European Commission's position, on the one hand to comply with the Kyoto I Accords, and on the other to prepare Kyoto II, is absolutely legitimate and justified.
Automobile manufacturers realize that the future belongs to improving car efficiency. There are many technologies already on the market that can deliver substantial CO2 savings. Beyond advanced approaches such as hybrid systems, there are also technologies that can be applied to today's new cars, such as engine downsizing with turbocharging or low rolling resistance tires. Everybody wins. Drivability is maintained, fuel consumption is reduced, and the impact on climate is lower. Even marketing can contribute to promoting greener cars, and car makers have been already invited to sign up to a code of sustainable advertising. An important priority is raising the driver's awareness.
There is no room for bluff marketing in the area of the environment, given the ecological emergency of climate change. On the other hand, there is a huge need to educate and train drivers so they understand. It is true that when you are fighting to win 2, 3, 4, 5 grams of carbon dioxide per kilometer driven, the customer is not necessarily aware if he doesn't understand the subject.
Reaching the ambitious targets adopted by the EU will not only concern vehicle manufacturers, but also producers of car components, such as tyres and fuel suppliers. Among the solutions developed by the industry, one is particularly innovative: a tyre made from biofiller, renewable material that's less dependent on petroleum products. Its designer gives us the recipe. Here we have the main ingredients in a tyre formula: polymer, silica, and various additives. So the innovation consists of having partially replaced silica by starch-based biofiller. 20% starch in the new formula means 20% maize. A tyre is partly made from this cereal, which, like all vegetable crops, absorbs the CO2 in the air. Mixed with silica, the biofiller reduces the amount of this polluting product traditionally used in this industry. The production of this tyre will therefore minimize CO2 emissions. It will also emit less into the atmosphere as it drives on the road. But the main advantage is that the addition of biofiller will allow to reduce the rolling resistance of the tyre, another contribution to save the environment. The beauty of the project is that we're making advanced technology of it. Using this type of product, we can also minimize the energy absorbed by the formula, which translates into allowing us to produce tires with low resistance and therefore reduced fuel consumption for the vehicle, and as a consequence, fewer CO2 emissions. This project received the support of the European Commission under the LIFE program.
I think the opportunity given us under the LIFE project allows us to look at a variety of technologies and how to put them together into a package that will deliver the objectives that the European Union wants to achieve but also make sure that we're meeting the needs of the end user as far as safety and other parameters as far as tire performance that cannot be sacrificed to get to the rolling resistance and emissions levels required by the European Union.
Cutting the CO2 emissions from transport will require efforts from all sectors, including the fuel suppliers. The objective is clear: to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions caused by the production, transport and use of fuels by 10% from petrol and diesel by 2020.
Shell is responding to that challenge by reducing emissions from our own operations, through working with consumers to help reduce their emissions, but most importantly, working to develop second-generation biocomponents that offer the largest potential to reduce CO2 emissions from road transport fuels.